This video, I'm gonna be interviewing Rachel, a good friend of mine, although it's been a minute, like I don't remember when was the last time I met her. It's many months ago, I guess. But she has, she does a lot of things. Like she's into knitting. She's a full-time nurse. She has children. She's a mom. And we're gonna in this video we're gonna talk about her hobby as a knitting, then like the life in the USA and how she manages all these things, like doing a lot of things at the time. So it's gonna be fun, and yeah, it's gonna also help you for your English part, spoken English. So kindly stick it to it till end. You're gonna learn a lot, not only from the perspective of language, but in from the perspective of culture exchange. And yeah, Rachel is gonna tell us a lot of things about USA as well, I guess. Yeah, so let's see. Like I'm kind of like excited and anxious at the same time, but yeah, I'm really waiting for her. I guess she has gone to grab her coffee, and yeah, yes, I guess she is here right now. Hello, Rick.
Hello.
Yes, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. I was gonna say good morning, but it's not morning for you.
I was gonna say good morning to you. Yeah, she is. I guess I was talking to my viewers that you have been doing it for a while. Like you have done a lot of things. Again, I'll say that she's a good friend of mine, Rachel. I'm not sure when was the last time we met. It's been like long, long ago, many months ago, I guess. But
It's
she's
been a long time.
yeah, a nurse, full-time nurse. Then she's into knitting. She has a lot of children. So yeah, we're gonna talk about her life. So yeah, Rachel, tell us something about yourself.
I you did a great job. I am a full-time nurse. I have five kids. They span in the age from the ages of 6 to 25. So like different points of like development and just in all different stages of life. And I love crafts and hobbies, and the biggest craft and hobby I'm involved with is knitting. And I've been
Mhm.
doing it probably over 20 years.
Wow. And you have a YouTube channel for that as well, right? I guess I saw some of your videos about knitting.
Yes, it had that's something I'm going to be picking up this fall again. It's been years since that was something I did during the pandemic, and I'm going to get back to it. Um, but that's going to be more of a fall slash winter project for me.
Yeah. I guess right now you have too many balls in the early, like you are doing a lot of things. So, yeah, let's, when it comes to knitting, how did you first get into it? It's been 2 decades, like you said, and what drew you to it?
So at first, I think this is a very common way for kids to start knitting is my mom taught me how to knit and my sister had a crochet, and I'm pretty sure it was over spring break, and it was probably because she needed us to be busy doing something and out of her hair. Um, but when we learned back forever ago in the 90s, I was just dependent on what she was teaching me. So she taught me the basic knit stitch, but there was no internet to be able to expand the knowledge or learn how to do other things. So I would make like scarves or just squares. And eventually life gets busy. I got wrapped up with school and other things. And then as an adult, after I graduated, from nursing school, there was a weekend that I needed to be available for work. I didn't need to go in, but I just needed to be available just in case. So I was at home with nothing to do. And I thought to myself, it would be fun to pick up knitting again. I should just see what
Wow.
I can do. So that's what was probably about like 15 years ago. And that's when I really started to like watch a bunch of YouTube videos, and I bought like just basic supplies and kind of dove back in.
Intriguing. So yeah, like I guess life was completely different where there was no social media, back in your days. So that's inspired you to do this thing, knitting, right?
Yes.
Wow, intriguing. And
And I think that the nice thing was when I had the idea I'm going to get back into knitting, there was all these resources online that I wouldn't have had like 30 years ago.
hmm, intriguing. Wow. And do you remember the first project you ever completed? What was it?
It was a hat, and I was very proud of the hat. It's a very basic hat. A hat is a great first project for people. because it's something you can use and it's something that's not a scarf or a blanket. So it's a little more exciting for people. But that was my first actual project and I did love it.
I'm still trying to figure out, like, is it common, Rachel, to get into knitting? Like, are a lot of people into that, or you are some kind of eccentric person who is really into this?
So with, I think over the course of the pandemic, and now with, I think the younger generation, the Gen Z population of people, these, they call them grandma hobbies. So there are a lot of hobbies like knitting, crocheting, needlepoint, like all of these are kind of making a resurgence. So it was really popular during the pandemic because people had nothing else to do, but
Yeah.
people have been going back to work. And now the younger generation seems to be picking up the helm and getting more into it. And I think also with the advent of like Instagram, there was an age like when I got back into it, there were a
Mm,
lot of like social media influencers who were doing different things with the knitting. So like everyone's seen a knitted sweater, but maybe they were doing like a 3D print with a character on it or making really creative things that people were like,
mm.
wow, like it doesn't have to be a traditional project. We can like be creative and express ourselves um using knitting.
Intriguing. Like, if I call a spade, like prior, like, you are the only person that I know who is into this field because I meet a lot of people, but I never like this was the first. This is the first time I'm talking about something knitting. I usually watch it in the classic films that they do this kind of things, like you said,
Yeah.
grandma. So, like the knowledge of knitting has come to me from movies itself, but it's nice. Yeah, it's great. And was there a particular person, moment that really sparked your knitting journey?
So when I reconnected with knitting, one of my friends who lives in New York, she's like, "You need to come to the New York Sheep and Wool Festival." And at the time, I was like, "Oh, I had no idea what to expect," but I went, and it was amazing because it was people that spanned all generations. So it was younger people, people from Brooklyn, people from like all around the world, really, who were coming together, very creative and all different types of like using fiber in all different types of ways. So as I never had seen like that many people who were that into knitting who weren't grandmoms. Like that's probably the first time I saw it. Well, like wow, there are people doing this who aren't like older or fitting a certain
Oh,
stereotype. Just like men, women, like younger kids, older people wearing all kinds of eccentric outfits. That were all knitted. So that kind of like expanded my mind. Like, wow, there are so many
great.
ways that you create using yarn.
Wow. Yeah, that's astonishing. Like, I often see on your Instagram page, you are into that communities where you do this knitting projects and you encourage one another. And yeah, I look at your profiles and all. So it's pretty awesome. Nice. And like you said, yeah, it was a stereotype thing. Like, we all, like, I used to think that older people who have nothing to do, they would do this kind of things. Even in India, a lot of people do that, but mostly, yeah, older people. I'm not sure if younger people are, but nice. Yeah, it's great. And like, when it comes to knitting, how do you decide what to knit next? Is it spur of the moment thing, or inspiration, or practically like?
I think I get inspired a lot and I have to rein myself in. So, because I do a lot of charity knitting. So I know there are things that, like, there are certain projects I need to get done every month for the hospital. So we'll do little like squares and blankets and shawls. And like, I'm working with other people to try to make sure they're getting done. But then on the side, like the New York Sheep and Wool Festival is coming up in October. So I'm knitting a sweater for that. And I'm doing a test knit for a designer. So I have a couple of things going at once. So like right now, I have to finish one of my sweaters before I move on to the next thing. But like with knitters and people who are creating in general, like if I see or if I have inspiration for something, um, I don't know. I might have an extra project on the needles. It just depends. I'm
Wow.
not, it's just sometimes it's chaotic.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to take this moment and appreciate your time and all because I guess right now it's 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. What time is over there, Rachel?
It is 6:14.
Yeah, 6:14. And she said, yes, I'm going to be on your podcast. So I'm really grateful for it. You took your time out of this busy schedule just to be my guest. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
No, thank you for having me, Janelle. It's always nice to talk to you. It's always such an enjoyable experience. I appreciate your time.
And can you walk us through the through your process from idea to finished piece?
Yes. I'm so this spring I was going to a convention and I wanted to knit a kimono to match one of the characters from a show that I watch. So it just starts out by me sketching and drawing and coloring in like exactly how I want this piece to look. And then once I have a schematic of what I like want to create, I think about what type, believe it or not, there are different types of yarns. So there are bigger yarns that are heavier and there are lighter yarns, and the lighter yarns are going to be like easier to wear and they might be more comfortable and cooler, but they are going to take a lot longer to knit. So it's a lot of times figuring out what type of material I'm going to use. I might have to knit some swatches, and essentially for the kimono, it was easy. I went online, I looked at sewing patterns for kimonos and figured out what type of like fabric I was going to have to create. And I just kind of like knit in little squares and was able to seam it all together and shape it. Um, and then just kind of do like small maintenance work to get like to make it come to life to where I wanted it to be. But a lot of times it's just about planning, like knowing what type of material you're going to use. And then if it's something that's really like, if it's something like a dress that requires a lot of shaping, like knowing what type of stitches to put in for the increases, the decreases, like where it should fit on the body, like um as long I feel like as long as you're planning for that, and sometimes you're planning for it as you're making it, if it's something that's really unique to you. When you're designing for like the masses, there's a lot of software that helps you figure out like for different sizes, like where to put in like increases, decreases to try to make the garment as individualized as possible. Cause like not everybody's the same shape and size. So if I'm knitting something for me, it's going to be different than if I'm knitting something for you.
Intriguing. So is this process like the entire knitting thing? Is it therapeutic for you, or like now it's kind of a kind of thing? You know, you do it
I
like.
Like I am not a designer, so a lot of the things I'll create for myself. So I'm making them specific to me, and that's therapeutic because I don't have the stress of like how do other people feel about this? Is it like do I have all the sizes I need? Do I have like an editor working with me? It's just this is the look I want. This is what I want to create, and I'm going to see it through. And like I feel like for me that makes it very therapeutic.
Makes sense. Wow. And what's the most challenging knitting project that you have ever taken on, Rachel?
I That's such a good question. I was going to be in a fashion show a couple years ago. I was, and I created a dress. The theme was breakfast at Tiffany's, so really like dressy, formal. Um, and this is before I really started like making garments like this. So I drew out and I kind of in my mind had an idea of what dress I wanted to make, and I was able to make the dress. Um, just like a line dress. I like crocheted flowers and put them all up and down the dress. But that was probably the most challenge. That and I did like for the fashion show the next year, I made a mermaid tail, like just using like a 3D like crochet stitch, like scallops, and it was huge. And I crocheted a bunch of like sea creatures to put on the tail. So those were probably the most challenging projects. They took a while. But I love them doing them. They were great. I felt like very fulfilled. Um, they were just really time consuming. It took a lot of planning and figuring out like how am I going to get this to look like a mermaid tail and not just like a big green blob.
Intriguing. How long did it take, like approximately, Rachel?
Probably like 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
Because I'm doing it in between work, and like that's what also makes it like interesting is
Yeah.
when I'm making these things is I always have to factor enough time because I do work and I do have kids, so it's not always like, oh, I can spend all day doing this. It's like
Definitely.
whenever I have the time.
And not only the work, Rachel, how do you keep the energy? You know, because you have kids, you are full-time nurse. Where do you get this energy? Is it coffee?
It's a lot of coffee. I started in the past like couple of years I started exercising, which I think helps with energy. And I this is going to sound so corny and so old-fashioned, but I really just get a good night's sleep. I go to sleep at
Wow.
a really
Yeah.
reasonable time. I get up early and I just go.
And what's that reasonable time, Rachel?
I'm probably in bed by 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, nice. Wow. Intriguing. Wow.
But then I'm up at 5 in the morning.
Yeah. Intriguing. And during the day, do you feel sleepy? Do you take a nap?
No,
Yeah, you don't even get
no.
time for it, right? You are a full-time nurse, and yeah, wow.
Hmm.
Okay, do you prefer working with certain teachers or techniques over others?
Um, I think I think it depends on my mood because like if I'm in a creative mood or if I'm well rested or if it's the weekend and I'm not working, then I'm more apt to try like creative things and maybe like make a little like dive into a project that has more complicated stitches. Whereas if it's the end of the day or if it's a stressful day, I just want your basic knit stitch, nothing exciting. I might jump into like the we do these like prayer shawls for people who are in the hospital, but they're very straightforward, and that's probably what I'll gravitate to, like during the week or if I'm like really like drained mentally or emotionally.
Mhm. Intriguing. And as you sleep at 9 o'clock, so how does it feel? Like, the kind of mood that you are into. I cannot even imagine like the positivity of that hitting the hay at night 9 o'clock and waking up 5 o'clock.
I like I'm a night owl, so it was not easy for me, but I do like I wake up at 5 o'clock to get ready for work.
Mm.
Um, because like I get ready for work in the morning, like I meditate, I get ready for work in the morning, I get my kids ready off to do what they need to do. Um, but it helps get me prepared enough that by the time I get home, I can like do the paperwork I need to, and then by like dinner time, I'm done and I have the time to knit or do whatever I want to do. But or like within reason because I still have like kid things to do. But basically at 9 o'clock, I might not be even asleep. I'm just in bed. Like I'm either reading or I'm just like unwind. Like it's just like
Yeah,
time to unwind and have peace.
intriguing. And what sort of books do you like to read, Rachel, when it comes to reading?
Right now I'm reading The Silmarillion by Tolkien
Oh,
because I would like to read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But then as a palate cleanser, something a little lighter, I'm just reading like a romance novel.
and that one would be Nicholas Sparks.
No, so it's actually a local author here. So, New Jersey is the state I live in the United States, and we are known for our beaches. So this is a local author, and it's like centered around the Jersey Shore, the beaches of New Jersey in the summertime. So I like it's a new, like I went to a yarn store and there was a book signing, and the author was there, and she was very nice. So I figured I'd give her books a try, and so far they're enjoyable.
Great, intriguing. Yeah. Have you ever had a project that go totally wrong? Like, what did you learn from it?
I feel like this has happened a lot, and I feel like it's also a common experience for every knitter. Um, they so there's actually a term for it. They call it frogging a project when you just have like are done with it or you feel like you need to rip it out because like you're ripping out stitches and like the ripping out like rip it sounds like frog. Um, I think that I'm trying like so my one of my first sweaters I made there was a lot of color work and I messed up on the pattern with one stitch. So if you look at the sweater now, which everybody tells me they can't see it, but I can see it. Like there's one stitch that's off all the way around, but I didn't notice it until I was all done the sweater. So that was probably the worst mistake. But with every project, there's probably one little blemish and I've just tried to embrace it because there's like joy, there's like art in that imperfection. Like that's my touch to the project. Um, like that's the human touch as opposed to getting something machine made. So I get less upset if
Hmm.
there's something that's wrong. Like you can fix a lot of things too with experience and just doing knitting a lot. Like if you do have a bigger mistake that you do need to fix, um, there's a lot you can do like without having to take it out, like to fix it like on the spot. So I've gotten better at having like knowing when to troubleshoot. There's only been a couple of projects that were so messed up that I stopped and didn't go back to. But in general, I just try to, if it's something little, I just try to embrace it and go with it. It's not a big deal.
Intriguing. And now, as you have like this whole community, entire community, and I want to know, like, when it comes to community, do you learn from each other, or like, is there, kind of like mine is good, yours is not equally good enough to mine, the competition, the thing like that?
So I think with social media, you probably have an element of like the mine is better than yours, but for the most part, the fiber community, like knitters, crocheters, um, like spinners, like spinning down fiber, like weavers. All of these communities are very supportive, very warm, they're very nurturing, and they want you to learn. So if you have an interest, they want you to have access to the information. They want to be a resource for you. There are so many good mentors. And I think just the biggest thing is the desire, like showing the desire that you want to learn. Because there are a ton of people that will always come up to me and say, Rachel, I want to learn how to knit. Like, you need to teach me. I'm like, okay, well, I can teach you the basics. But a lot of it just comes down to you, like, putting the time to practicing it. Like, I can't, like, you're going to get better with time and just repeated practice and making those mistakes and starting over again. So I think as long as you're willing to put in the time, people, like, the information's there. People are going to help you and people are going to support you.
Intriguing. Wow. And does it has have to be anything with the gender? Like, are more women into it, or like male are also there?
I feel like there's a lot of guys that have, I think in Europe, first of all, it's very common for men to knit also. Um, and you see, just like being over there, I've seen a lot more men casually knitting. Um, but I feel like knitting has gotten a lot more popular with men over like the past 10 years. But there are a ton of men who also knit. Like, I think that generally, generationally, like people are valuing that these are skills that are passed down from generation to generation. So it's less of like an older like lady thing, grandma thing, and more of a just people hobby.
Yeah. Okay. And okay. Do you think that knitting has changed over the years with social media and online tutorials?
Definitely, the information is more accessible. It's easier to, like, if you want to learn something, you can in 30 seconds go to YouTube and have multiple instructional videos at your fingertips. Um, like I said, I think it's easier for people. Like now with Pinterest, you see all of these creative things that people do, even with, I don't know if you're familiar with the Labubu dolls, um, but they're really popular here. They're like little tiny dolls. And they've been really popular this summer, and all of the younger people are like knitting and crocheting outfits for them. And you see that on social media. And then, like, when you see it on social media, you're like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I want to make that. So, like, there are a lot of ways that social media can make knitting, crocheting seem cooler because you're seeing it in different contexts. So you're not just seeing a blanket, you're seeing um like maybe somebody crocheted a purse for themselves or a sundress or there are so many like ways to, I think, expand people's minds as to what they can do with the craft.
Okay. Wow. And okay. What does it knitting mean to you personally beyond just making things?
Um, I do think like knitting is a great way to relax. Like it's a great way to unwind and relax. It's very meditative, but it's also very rewarding in the fact that like you there's something to show for your unwinding and like so when I read it's relaxing, but at the end I have a great story, but I don't necessarily have something that I can like that's tangible that I can look at and say like I made this or I did this.
Mhm.
Um and it's also like it means community, it means like having a set of skills, like um it keeps you engaged. Like there's always something new to learn. There's always a technique to practice. So um, it's just a hobby that keeps me very, I feel like engaged. There's always another level to take like the knitting to, or there's always something new to try.
Wow. And yeah, in the light of what you are saying, Rachel, what advice would you like to give to someone who wants to start knitting but feels intimidated?
Just do it. Just start little. I think a lot of times, like what I've seen with new people who want to knit is they want to knit something specific. Um, just like commit yourself to starting from the beginning. Go online. There are a ton of resources. Just learn how to knit and purl, like just the basic stitches. Learn how to cast on stitches and just knit and just keep doing it. Um, Look for a beginner project. Uh, Move at your pace. Don't feel pressured. Like don't feel like somebody might say like I want to start learn how to knitting. I want to learn how to knit, but I got to learn how to knit these socks because I saw them and they're really cool. And then you look at the socks and there's like they're going to be doing like it's color work. There's like a pattern, there's the design, and they look really cool. But maybe for your first project, that's going to frustrate you. Like just start with something a little smaller, even though it's not as exciting, and you can work yourself up to that really cool thing that you want to make.
Interesting. And what do you like? Who do you look up to, Rachel, when it comes to knitting? Any famous
Um,
knitter?
yeah, so actually I love there are a lot of people online. I do have a respect for just like Scandinavian culture and like in general because they are knitting is very natural to everything they do. Um, so I follow a lot of people like in Iceland, for instance. The Icelandic wool is very unique, very distinct. But people on Iceland, it's just such a natural part of their culture, men and women, that they're all knitting. They're knitting at a young age. They're making sweaters. Like it's very second nature. When you walk around there, you they have very like special like designs. Like you can tell an Icelandic sweater, the fishermen wear them, but it's not something like, oh my gosh, you made that. It's just assumed. Like it's a very common thing to see. And I think that those cultures are really good at passing down those skills to their kids and their grandkids and just making it like a part of their life. Whereas here, like you said, like most people are just like aren't like, oh, you knit? Like, what do you knit? Like granny squares or blankets or that it's a very they have it in the box of what they expect to see from knitting. Whereas like the Scandinavian culture, it's very much ingrained in what they do.
Okay, intriguing. And what's the strangest or weirdest thing that you have honest that like that you have ever knitted?
Probably one time I knit finger puppets. But I was trying to learn a skill. Like I was trying to learn how to like knit small and knit in the round. So, yeah, they were like little monster finger puppets.
Yeah, got it. Intriguing. Yeah. Okay, if you could knit something for anyone in the world, past or present, who would it be and why?
That's a that's a hard question. Um, I feel like looking at some of the like crankier rulers of the of history, maybe it would be nice to knit them a bear or something soft to cuddle. Maybe they'd be a little friendlier. But in general, just like anybody who um like again, this answer is probably really generic, but anybody who is like needs a little like hug or care or like throughout history, throughout time, think of like I just think of all the people who maybe like
Rachel,
have been
I'll make
suffering
it.
or
Let's
lonely.
spice it up a little bit. Let's spice it up. Sorry for interruption.
Okay, that's
But here,
okay.
what you gonna need
Oh,
for it?
so I don't know. Can I get handcuffs? Like I don't. Maybe like go
Uh,
back to when he's a child, knit him a bear, and maybe that gives him some comfort.
yeah, definitely intriguing. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Then the one with Mahatma Gandhi.
Um, well, that's pressure because like I don't know if like you can maybe like knit him like a little like robe or something to go with his outfit, but I don't want like I don't know his style and I don't want to encroach. Like that would be up to him.
And for the people that love, the most admired people person in the America right now, Donald Trump.
Um, let me think. Maybe I knit him a nice hat.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right, Pablo Escobar.
Oh, hmm. Let me think. That's a really good question. Maybe like I can knit him like a little like purse or thing, something to keep his things in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He needs a big thing. Like you have to need something gigantic, humongous. Nice, great. Okay, moving on. Uh, like have you knitted something for a patient or colleague? I guess you have for patient, but for your colleagues.
Yes. So sometimes like I it's like the same thing with like I kind of just do what I feel inspired to do. So If there's somebody I think that would enjoy it or appreciate it, um, I might make something and think to myself, like, oh, this should go to this person because I think they'll like it. Or like this person's talking about like they like, I don't know, pumpkins, and maybe I made like a pumpkin scarf. Like I'm just gonna give it to them. So a lot of times it's not this well thought out thing. Like I'm going to make this for this person. It's I'm making all these like I'm making this project. Like I don't really need it. I think it would be better suited for like this person. Like I might have this person in my mind as I'm thinking of them. It's the same thing like with a patient. Like I'm have all we do the charity knitting, and like when you're doing that you're supposed to be thinking of the patient who's going to ultimately receive it, and you're like putting in all of your thoughts and energy that this person's going to find comfort and peace. And so yes, I feel like that was a really long answer to that question, sorry.
It's all right. Yeah, and how does your children feel about it? About
um
the new,
they they've gotten various things. So I've tried to so my oldest just learned to crochet, so I'm very excited about that. Like that was years of me like bugging her, but she was busy with schooling and stuff, and now she's to the point where she's learning how to crochet. Um I have made my kids various things throughout the years, and then my youngest, my 6 year old, um like I've been teaching him to knit on and off, but I just move at his pace. Like he's been knitting on and off since he was like 4, but it's hard because like at 4 you don't have all the dexterity. So it's just this thing, if like I have time and he's like we both have time, like why don't we just do this for a little bit and see how it goes. But he is pretty good at machine knitting. Like I have a circular machine, so we'll do
yeah.
that together sometimes too.
Great. So, do you feel like your children will pass on your legacy to their children, kind of a legacy thing?
They better, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what costs them. They're so like young still, so like my kids are still like in their early like 20s, most of them. Ezra's 6. But I feel like they're all trying to figure out life things at this point. So at some point, like I said, my daughter who just turned 25, like she's getting into crocheting, and she's been doing a lot of outfits and just a lot of things in general. So hopefully it's something that she sticks with and she like finds a lifetime of enjoyment with, and she wants to pass it down. Um, but I feel like everyone's got their thing, Janelle. If it's not knitting, it might be drawing or journaling, or there's something out there for you. It's just it's okay if it's not fiber related.
Yeah. Okay. What advice would you like to give to busy parents who still want to make time for a creative hobby?
I think that I know this is easier said than done. Um, but it's really important to find what gives you joy or it sparks joy, and then finding ways to build that into your life. So it may not be an hour at a time, it may be 15 minutes here and there. Um, but if you devote time to something that you love and that like brings you joy and is relaxing to you, I just feel like it helps you be more of a complete person because it breaks up the cycle of like work or taking care of the kids. Like you're doing something for yourself. And for you to be able to take care of other people, like you need to take care of yourself first. Um, so like, and that's the way that has looked in my life has changed over the last 10 years, obviously. But um, there would be nights where I might only be able to give like 15 minutes. There may be days that I couldn't give anything at all, but then maybe like during the weekend I had an hour. So I just would make time where I could, and didn't pressure myself. Like the second I feel like I have to produce or I have to make something is when I really need to like step back and be like, this is not the journey is what you're in this for. It's not like what you're
Yeah.
producing.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's not about destination process. I guess you enjoy the process that eventually
Yeah.
leads to destination. Wow. Yeah, if you could have 24 hours and you have to only do one activity, what sort of thing would you like to do? Will it be knitting or anything else?
I'm such a busy person. So I started spinning, like I started taking fiber and spinning it down. I love doing that too. And I don't know, in like a dream world where I could do anything, I would love to try to see if I could like this would never happen, but like spin fiber and then use that fiber and knit something with it, like all in the same day. Either that or try to do something like a sweater or something. But I don't know, like that probably would not happen. But like I'm just the type of person, if I had an entire day off of nothing but hobbies, I would probably have about like five hobbies lined up and just do a little bit of everything because I'm like move from one thing to the next.
Mm, got it. And apart from the things that you mentioned, one thing that you would like to do, like you always find it fascinating, but somehow because of your busy schedule, you don't get the time for it, but you really want to do, probably in the future.
Maybe learn how to weave, like weave like just like scarves, like that's like, so the thing with knitting and chenille is you start learning how to knit and then like you start to get into like dyeing the yarn and like you become friends with like people who dye yarn and then you learn, you go to the farms and you see how the wool is processed and you're like, oh, I'm going to start to spin, and then like you see all the things you can do with the yarn, so it's not just knitting and crocheting, it's weaving and making scarves and making these beautiful fabrics. So really like um I just feel like there's a whole wide world of like crafting and hobbies, and just learning one thing leads you to another thing.
Hmm. Wow, intriguing. And on that note, Rachel, thank you for your time. I won't hold you any longer. Enjoy your morning and enjoy the rest of your day. And
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah, take care.